Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's camera calibration webinar. I'm Boris Bergman from Datacolor, and I would like to welcome you to this webinar. Please allow me to give you a short overview about the upcoming next 60 minutes. First, here you can see, two images. One is my colleague, Oliver Muse, and it's myself, Boris Bergman. We too do, in general, the webinars, and tonight it will be me only because Oliver is on holiday, summertime. But I hope you will enjoy this webinar. We will have approximately 60 minutes. One very important information: we have announced a discount. You will receive a discount code with the follow-up mail to this webinar. More details I will give you at the end of this webinar. Okay, so we are talking tonight about camera calibration. Camera calibration, and often called camera management for your camera. Camera calibration is something really important, and because you have the possibility to calibrate your camera and to calibrate the autofocus as well. Of course, this only on certain cameras. Okay, one information, because I saw a question coming up. At the end of this webinar, we go into the chat where you have the possibility to enter all the questions you have, so no need to have a microphone at your end. Thank you. Okay, so we will talk tonight about the SpyderCUBE for contrast and gray balance for your pictures. We will talk about the SpyderCHECKR. To be honest, not too much about the SpyderCHECKR. We will talk primarily about the SpyderCHECKR 24. The SpyderCHECKR 24 is our newest product we have released yesterday, and it is to have the color balance in your pictures. And we will start with the SpyderLENSCAL for the camera autofocus calibration. That means camera lens combination autofocus calibration. And as I mentioned, we will start with this. That's the only product from Datacolor that does not come with any software and is completely independent from software and could work even without a computer. And here we have the SpyderLENSCAL. The SpyderLENSCAL, it's made of fiberglass, and what is important to know about, we have first a pattern, looks like a chess pattern a little bit, and then we have a lineal, and this ruler here is very important because it comes in a 45-degree angle. And what you can do, you can flip it up, and then you have it flat. It looks like a little bit like a book, and so it's very easy to carry. But when you want to use it, you have to unfold it and mount it like this. But it's very, very easy. What else do we have in here? We have a tripod mount here, so you can place it on a tripod as well. You could place it on a table. And we have water level to make sure it's correctly positioned, horizontal, and so on. So, because if it is not in the level, all the adjustment wouldn't work. That's important to know. Okay, so now the question: what is, or what could be wrong with an inaccurate autofocus? And here we have a sample. You see the autofocus sensor that has been used to go for the autofocus should have here get the watch over here. But to be honest, it hits it over here. So it's a little bit like a back focus here. So where does it come from? Very easy. We have tolerances in production. Of course, if you go on a cheaper camera model, usually the tolerances get bigger. But on the other hand, if you're talking about an SLR camera, we are talking also about exchangeable lenses. And that means you have the lenses and the camera body. And if the tolerances go together, they can add or they can remove each other. This is one point. We have also the lens H. You see, as the lenses go older, it's like a car, you see. They will be not as precise as being on the first day after the delivery. Okay. And what else do we have? We have the usage. So over the years, the more and more you use your lenses, you will get also a fading effect on precision. And we have climate conditions. So if it's very warm and then it changes down to be very, very cold, or you're just traveling around North Pole, Sahara, yeah, this has also an impact here. And this would be the correct way to see, because then it's razor sharp. But if this is the situation of your camera lens combination, what can you do? One way is to go to the manufacturer's service. They offer to calibrate, no problem. But it's expensive, it's time consuming, and the alternative way to do it, use the autofocus to calibrate with the SpyderLENSCAL. And if you have an SLR camera mid-range or higher, that's about the level, where the manufacturer integrated the functionality of autofocus micro adjustment. They have different naming, thanks to the marketing department, and that's the point. So let's have a closer look. Think about you would have a camera and also a lens. Sorry, I see there's some German. I have to exchange this. Sorry. So you have the camera, and so you see the German is not too far away from the English. And if it's inside the tolerance level and it says, okay, no tolerance at all, it's okay. But let's think about, we have a tolerance level, let's say from -3 to +3. And if the manufacturer says, okay, everything within between is okay, everything which is outside goes back to be readjusted and then goes out to be sold. Don't ask me if it's millimeter or whatever. You see, whatever is here the measurement, it's just say it's from -3 to +3. And we have, on the other hand, we have the lens on the left side here. And if also the lens is going to be within -3 to +3, everything is okay, especially if a combination like this, you see, both are just in the middle of the tolerance, so they are perfect. Okay. And for those who have a combination which looks like this, you see, the camera is just 1.8 and the lens is about 2.2, so it's almost compensating each other, so nobody will mention this. But on the other hand, if we think about a combination that is vice versa, it is more complicated. And the problem is, very often you won't mention. Think about the following situation. You have your lenses, and you have bought very, very good lenses, and over the years you feel, okay, you have a few favorite lenses, if you own a few more. And very often it is just because the combination of the lens and the body is not perfect. Because you say, okay, the percentage of good shoots I'm creating with this or that lens camera combination is different. And then you get, just out of your stomach, you get the feeling that one is the better one. You can't even tell, you see, because it's very difficult to tell and you will see only the percentage of the good ones, of the good images, is better on that lens camera combination compared to another one. And if you tell your friends, it could be possible that they say, oh no, it's completely opposite way down on my side. Or if you borrow a lens from a friend and would say, oh, it's gorgeous, and you find out, yeah, quite okay, but not something extremely good, very often this could be also a problem of autofocus calibration here. Because if it's on your friend like this and on your system this, because your camera is on a minus and the lens is on a plus in the tolerance, it could be a problem. Yeah. So that's the issue we have. So now have a closer look. You see, it's, as I mentioned, it's thin, it's quick to use, it's durable. And if you have a look from the side, you can see the ruler goes on 45 degrees upwards, and it starts at -6 and it's at +6, or front focus 6, back focus 6. Because the question is, what is it, millimeters? Nobody knows. It doesn't matter, because if you look and you have a camera that have such micro adjustment functionality, you will see there's also, there are values, but no scaling in the, there's a scale, but no values in millimeters or whatever. That's the point in here. So the trick is now you place the focus here on the chest pattern. This one is for the macro lenses. It's important that you place the autofocus here. It is not allowed to be on the ruler. And then you will check where is the focus, and you just view the image and look for the sharp point on the ruler. That's the way how it works. Very, very simple. Okay, now let's have a closer look. Make sure your autofocus is properly set. Could be something within between, but not on the ruler. What is important? You use the largest, the open aperture, you see, and if you have a zoom lens, you use the higher focal length. Because if it goes, for example, on an 18-200, you use the 200 millimeters. Now it's the next question. What's the distance between the camera from here to the camera over here? And you see, the distance is also very easy to tell. No, it's not very easy to tell. We recommend to say, okay, 25 to 50 times of the focal length on a zoom on the higher value of the focal length of the lenses. That's the way how to do it, how to use it. And then we say 25 times to 50 times. If you ask the lens manufacturer, if you ask the camera manufacturer like Canon, Nikon, Pentax, whatever, Hasselblad, some will tell you, okay, 20 times. Most of them tell you 25 times to 50 times, something within between, you see. We recommend to say, okay, use it on 25 times if you, for example, if you use a 200 millimeters, but for whatever reason you use it at short distance shootings, okay, then use it on 25 times of 200 millimeters. So 25 times 200 millimeters, that's in total 5 meters. If you use your 200 millimeter lenses or your 18-200 zoom lenses, if you use it on larger distances, like you're an outdoor photographer, landscape photographer, okay, and please use it on 50 times distance. So orient yourself on if you're working on longer or shorter distances when you do your shootings. That's the reason to take 25 or to take 50 times. And what is also important, I would recommend to use it indoor, because outdoor you will have the possibility to have some wind and other influence, which could be an issue. It has stable environment, of course. We recommend to use the tripods, make a proper adjustment so that it's not tilted and so on, so that you can do a proper calibration. That's the approach, I would say. And if it should be 50 times and you can do only indoor, you can do only 40 times, it's okay, you see. The most important thing, do it. That's the most important thing here. Okay, so how do we do? That's where we focus, as I mentioned. And how we do this, it's very easy. You take a picture with your camera lens combination. What I do, I always use a remote control and mirror up function. And I have also, I don't do that that way here. In general, we say, okay, control the autofocus, have a look on the ruler on the display of your camera. What I do have, I have the cover for my SD card always open. So, and I have it always on my tripod, reliable tripod mounted, the camera, because I take out the SD card and go to my computer and check on my 27-inch monitor, because it's much better to check the sharpness and to sharp point compared to what I can do on a display. But it's on you, you see. And then you'll find out, okay, let's say it is not sharp at 0, it's sharp at -1, so it's a front focus, or if it's on a back focus, whatever. And again, you say, if it's minus or plus, have a look how it looks like. Here it's a back focus, 2 and 2.6. And how do you apply this on your camera? You go into the menu to do the micro adjustment on autofocus. Here it says autofocus micro adjustment. Other manufacturers have different namings, sorry. But you can see here also it's from -20 to +20. Different vendor, different scaling. So, you know, you had a backward, so you have to go now to go forward, or the other way around. It's just on your personal situation. So, and you just estimate the first value, and you set the value, you do your second shot, and when you have done the correction shot, and you will check again, you will find at the very first time you will have to readjust. You get closer and closer to the 0, and at the end you will have the 0. Please allow 3-4 times at the very first try. If you have done this a couple of times, it takes you just 1 or 2 shots in the end. And then you have it. The advantage, you see, the information will be saved in the camera. And as far as I know, all cameras have at least 10 slots to save the information. And they can recall automatically, and they will identify the lens by the serial number of the lens. That's the way how they do it. So you can exchange the lenses, and all are calibrated when you have done this for each lens camera combination you have. That's the way how to do it. Read the manual of your camera if you want to know more details on the possibilities and how to access the menu on your camera, please. Okay, Here is a list which is incomplete, but it gives you an idea what type of cameras do offer a function like the micro adjustment or however the manufacturer called it. Okay, good. And now something maybe very important to note for some of you, not all of you. You see, when you shoot, let's say, this girl over here, this young lady, and you will place the you will place the autofocus sensor to her eyes because this has to be crisp in a beauty shot, like we have it in here. Then you have the depth of field, and it's yeah, a golden rule. It's the depth of field is 1/3 in the front and 2/3 behind the autofocus point. Okay, one of my colleagues, he does a lot of beauty shots, has a problem with this golden rule. Because you see, if you have a look, the eyes are sharp, but the tip of the nose is not sharp anymore. The ears are still sharp because they are within 2/3, but on lenses with a very wide open aperture, the depth of field is not really long. It's just a short depth of field. And so by this, you will have to make sure in a beauty shot that at least the nose should be okay, it should be sharp and crisp. About the ear, especially in photos where you can't see it because they're covered by hair or something, it's not that important that the ears are still crisp and sharp, but eyes and the nose should be. And so for him, because he does a lot of beauty shots, he said, okay, that's the golden rule. Everybody will follow this, but it makes no sense for him. And so what he did an adjustment to make sure it's just the other way around. So he has 1/3 behind that very often the ears are not crisp and sharp anymore, but due to the reason he has 2/3 in the front of the depth of field, it always has a sharp nose, as you can see in the second shot over here. And that's for him, it's very good. So if you do something like beauty shoots very often, it could be an idea for you. If you don't, if you do landscape or something outdoor, stay with the 2/3 behind, 1/3 in the front. But in the end, it's you see, to decide what is the correct way for you to do. Okay, great. So let's continue, and that was the SpyderLENSCAL. Sharper than ever before. That's the slogan we use very often in a webinar over here. Okay, let's continue on the next two products. And to make it short, we will have the SpyderCHECKR. As I mentioned in the beginning, I will not talk too much about the SpyderCHECKR because I will focus tonight on SpyderCHECKR 24. But we will start with the SpyderCUBE. The SpyderCUBE is to have the right white balance and contrast perception of your camera. And I assume most of you shoot in RAW. And if you shoot in RAW, you have the advantage of at least 2 stops reserve for do later correcting whatever. Exposure, color temperatures, blacks, whatever, white point, and so on. But on the other hand, where is the reference? And if you have a closer look on this image, you see, okay, that looks over here. Yeah, that was a bulb light over here on the right. And on the left, if I have a look at the leaves over here, it looks like, yeah, there was a window, you see, and this was our former office. You see, there was a huge window outside on the left, and we had some bulb lights on the right. But the bulb light is not that important compared to the outdoor light here, the natural light. And as long as we have no reference, you see, when we do the raw conversion, we have to trust on the automatic functions. And if you do automatic, it's not that good, you see. And especially if you have, for example, a mixed light combination situation, sorry, like we have it over here. That's also something really difficult. So the question is that the right one, or a little bit more bluish over here, warm but cold, but more dark? Nobody knows. But it's easy to know, and the idea is to have the SpyderCUBE over here. This cube will give you the reference you will need. So that means simply put the cube in the photo, shoot the location with the cube, shoot it in before or afterwards after you do the real shootings. Capture, as I mentioned, in the correct light situation, light conditions, and afterwards you will use the information from the cube. You have the reference now with your raw converter. The SpyderCUBE works with all kind of raw converters, and the SpyderCUBE, this is how it looks like. Again, it has a tripod mount down here. Then we have a chrome ball on top with a rubber band, so you can just hang it somewhere, no problem. It is a 18% gray over here and over here. If the light condition is different on the left and on the right, which is very often if you have a mixed light condition, one will be lighter, like here in the right one. Then we have the white, we have the black, and we have a black trap. So that's what we have, a light trap over here, the black trap. Due to a reason it's through pigmented, if you have some scratches, don't worry. What I do, you see, it comes with a little bag, and I always place it in the bag. I don't place it in the in my trousers. I always use the bag because my jeans are washed, and if I place it in the pocket of my jeans, the optical brightener from the detergent comes at the SpyderCUBE, and that will have some effect on the correction, and therefore the little bag is always with it. And what I also do, I have a little mini tripod, a flexible one, I have always mounted, because then I can hold it in front of me, take the shot, and that's it. Okay, so we have the gray balancing and the contrast balancing, because we have all information we need. That's the point in here. So let's have a short demo here. Therefore, just give me 1 second. Over here we have the image, and what I will do, I will just open it, and you can see I just do it in Adobe Camera Raw. I could do it on all other raw converter as well, you see. So here we have the image. Sorry, my Photoshop does not change the language, and therefore that's the situation in here. I hope it's okay to you to do tonight. It was a German Photoshop. So what I'll do, I will use the white balance tool first. And due to reason, we have the large window over here. This side of the cube is brighter compared to that side where we have just the bulb lamp. So that's the more important light in the light situation we have in here. So I do the white balance always on the brighter 18% gray. So that's what I do. Okay, you can see it was nothing like what we have seen on the slides before. Now I will do the exposure slide, and we have the whites over here, and the whites have to be white, and so you can see it's all 255, 255, as you can see over here, and therefore I have to adjust. So I lower the exposure slider here, and as I have the clipping indicator, I make sure there is, in general, no or almost no clipping over here. Okay, let's have a look on the blacks. And on the blacks, I see, okay, that's a value of 40, mid of 40, something about. Okay, I don't care. Again, I have the black trap. And on the black trap, I have values of about 20, yeah, 20 something. But 20 something, that's information. And there should be nothing in here, just pure black. So the clipping indicator should be on here as well. So what I do now, and it's now just a question of what type of process you're using, if you use the black slider or dark slider, whatever is it called. If you have a different mode here, please have a look at our website. There's a blog where we explain the different modes of the different Adobe sliders here. So what I will do, I will increase the black a little bit till the black trap shows the clipping. So that's it. And now what I will do, I will just go into the settings and save the settings over here. Save settings. And if I go on save settings, make sure it's only on white balance, exposure, black, and so on. Uncheck all the others, because you want to make sure it's only working on this. That's important in the end. I don't do it here. I just save it and say, okay, it's August 6th. Okay. And EN for English. That's okay. I just cancel here because I will need this image in a future situation, and I'll go on the next one. Therefore, I will open the next image, same situation, and now what I'll have to do, I'll go into the settings, and in the settings we will find August 6th EN. I just selected, applied. That's it. You could also do from the Adobe Bridge, because these presets are also available through the Adobe Bridge. And that's how we can do it. Very, very easy. And nothing else is affected, like the colors and so on, because we only work on white balance and the contrast range and so on. Okay, that's how we can do it. So I will quit here and quit this two applications, and here we are. Let's come for the next one, which is the SpyderCHECKR. And the SpyderCHECKR, we are talking today about the SpyderCHECKR 24, which is the new product. The SpyderCHECKR gives you possibilities. And for example, you will have the possibility to work on with different people with different cameras. You're on a holiday, for example, could be also an idea. And if you do so, yeah, what else? Not all of you have the same camera. And like in the good old times where we had the films, each film has a different characteristics. You remember? And that's the same situation in here. And one of my colleagues, he's doing he works with the camera with a Nikon, and his girlfriend, believe it or not, she's working with a Canon, and sometimes they do shoot marriage, and these wedding photographers, if they go and if they have something like this, you see the CR2, the Canon ones are a little bit more colder. The NEF files, the Nikon ones, are a little bit warmer. To be honest, what we have done, we have increased the saturation on this images a little bit to make it more easily visible because we do the webinar, and that means the images will be compressed. And so to make sure that you understand what I'm talking, therefore we did this. Okay, that's the situation. So now what he uses the SpyderCHECKR, and he can do this with the SpyderCHECKR 24, and do a shot with each camera, and then you have a reference for the colors. And we will use the reference for the colors only. That's the important point. And in the combination with the SpyderCUBE, you have a reference for the white balance and contrast range, and a reference for the color, which works together but independent from each other. That makes it easy. And the result is, have a look at this. What he did, he just applied the setting on all the nav from the Nikon he generated, and on the Canon for all the Canon. That's the way how we can do it. No problem. And think about, you're on holiday, you have your GoPro, you have an let's say a system camera with exchangeable lenses. You'll do your shootings in the evening when you're out when you're out for dinner. You don't take the huge SLR with you, have it to carry. But in the end, if you want to create a photo book, it would be great if these images look like they're from one camera. They don't have a deviation in the colors. And that's why you use the SpyderCHECKR 24. Okay, the SpyderCHECKR 24, here's it. It's very easy to handle. It comes with 24 patches. It's here in the folder, so it's in a cover here, so no problem at all. It works with Adobe Photoshop Raw, that means Adobe Camera Raw. It does work with Adobe Lightroom. It does work with Focus from Hasselblad, and what's important for all those who do videography, with DaVinci Resolve 11. Make sure you have the version 11 from Blackmagic Design. Okay, and if you turn it around, you will have a gray card, and this is important for all those who do videography, or all those who work with the camera internal white balance. A lot of people say, okay, I shoot in RAW, I don't use the camera internal white balance. I will explain you why it can make sense to use it also. Okay, take a photo. Sorry, there's a translation error in here. Take a picture of the SpyderCHECKR in the optimum light conditions. With this color reference, in the raw converters we have talked about, your colors will be automatically corrected. So you can see from the left to the right. The colors will be affected, nothing else. And that's very, very easy. And it helps you a lot. Okay. So the SpyderCHECKR plugin do all the adjustments automatically. And it will be adjustments, and you can see the image here. It will be adjustments, if you have a look in the image. Over here, there's nothing. It will be only on HSL. Okay. That's what we can see here. Again, I'll have to change the screenshots over here. Okay. These are the German ones. Doesn't matter, hopefully, for you. Okay. You can see the differences. And think about doing this yourself. What is also important, we have these applications, the SpyderCHECKR 24 and the SpyderCHECKR work with. Why not with other applications like Capture One and so on? These applications do not have that many HSL channels to adjust, and the adjustments sometimes are very, very smooth. You will have images where you don't see a difference because the colors that are affected are not in. They are in the SpyderCHECKR and in the SpyderCHECKR 24. So that's the point in here. Okay, let's have a comparison. SpyderCHECKR versus SpyderCHECKR 24. The SpyderCHECKR comes with 48 patches. The SpyderCHECKR 24, as the name says, 24 large patches, which show saturated colors. The other one also have saturated and low saturated colors. The SpyderCHECKR is a little bit more detailed. You have 8 skin tone patches instead of 2. Gray ramp of 13 patches instead of 6. Near white and near black tones, 3 to 0. The gray phase is large, okay. Large 18% gray patch, which is important. Both do have. A fade checker that, for example, you leave by accident, you leave the color checker, which is the big one, which you can put together like closing a book. You can and you can open it like a book, and if you leave it open on a next to an open window, and where the sun is coming through all the day, and you leave it there for a few months, there will be a fading effect. And there is a fade checker that starts to fade before the patches will fade, and that gives you the indicator where you place the cards, which you can do. On here we have only the card, so that's the point. The tripod mount, the cube mount, the hard cover, the flexible thin case we have over here, that's the difference. And of course also the size, as you can see at the bottom. So that's yeah, you can use it like put it in the pocket. If you have a little bit larger pocket, it works. Okay, so very often we have been asked in the trainings in the past, in the webinar, could you please explain a little bit more detail? Okay, I'll do. Take an image of the SpyderCHECKR 24 on a tripod. Of course, there's no tripod mount, but you can arrange something or put it on a stable surface. On here, my colleague put just a book behind, so it was placed stable. Illuminate at an angle of 45 degrees. That's the angle towards the light. If you touch it on the black frame. Then do the shooting. Make sure it's not tilted. If it's a little bit tilted, doesn't matter. Okay. Open the image in Adobe Camera Raw, Lightroom, Focus, or DaVinci Resolve. And what comes next? Trim the image to the black frame, like it's done over here. It doesn't matter if it's portrait or landscape mode, that will be detected automatically. No problem. Then you have the 20% gray patch, which is this one. Of course, it's 18%, but usually people say it's 20%. It's the E2 patch if you have the SpyderCHECKR, the big one. You use the white balance, the eyedropper tool here first. Okay, then next use the exposure slider, and the exposure slider you will use on the white patch, which is E1 on the large SpyderCHECKR. On the SpyderCHECKR 24, we have no coordinates, but I think it's quite easy to remember. Okay, in Lightroom, you will see the values in percentage over here whenever you go with your mouse over the patch. Go to 90% approximately. If it's 89 point something, that's okay, you see. If it's 91, still okay, no problem. In Adobe Camera Raw, because we don't show the Adobe Camera Raw that often, it's RGB value 230, 230, 230. And then you will last do the blacks adjustment. Use the blacks adjustment, the black slider on the black patch, which is that one. In Lightroom, it should be 4%. If the value is already below, don't adjust. Maybe think about taking a new shot. In Adobe Camera, it's RGB 10%, 10%, and sorry, 10, 10, 10, which is not percent. It's just the scale from 0 to 255. Okay, so 10, 10, 10. That's the value on RGB, on the RGB levels. Okay, so that's what you do. Now, open the image in the SpyderCHECKR software. In Lightroom, you go to the menu Photo, Edit in, and you will see the SpyderCHECKR entry. In Adobe Camera Raw, you will save the image as TIFF 16-bit Adobe RGB file, and then you open in the SpyderCHECKR software. You can directly launch without any problem. And this is how it will look like, you see. Very easy. Okay. Then you have different modes. Save in the settings. It's not a profile, not an ICC profile. Save the settings in your preferred mode. We have saturation, which is a little bit more powerful. We have colorimetry, which is an average balanced setting. And we have portrait. Portrait has one advantage. It lowers a little bit the saturation of the skin tones. So a skin to help the skin to prevent a little bit to get reddish, you see. So that's very helpful very often. I'll show you in a few seconds. When you save this, you can do one after the other if you want. You can save the different modes to the different applications. Even if you're in a different application, doesn't matter. The setting will work in all applications. So do it the most convenient way you want to do it. And after you save the first one, you can do, okay, save the next one and so on. No problem. Okay? So, and in the end, you will have to apply the settings. If you're in Lightroom, as you are in Lightroom, the user-defined settings will be read from Lightroom at the launch of Lightroom. As you save now from an external application, a setting, Lightroom will be not able to read it on the fly. It will read it at the next launch of Lightroom. So just quit Lightroom, restart Lightroom, and then you have the settings in Lightroom available as user-defined settings. Okay, and this is what I will show you now. Therefore, I will go on Lightroom. Here we are. This is my Lightroom image. Okay, what I will do, I'm in the develop section, so I will crop first. Okay, let's do it, and let's go down here, and due to the reason my colleague did not so proper shooting over here, okay, doesn't matter, it works. So let's do it like this. Okay. We could, of course, say, okay, it's better like this. That's okay. Good. So, what do we do first? Here's the ET patch, the 18% gray. I will just use the neutral gray, picker, the white balance over here. Very easy. No problem at all. So next, this one should be about 90%. And you see, it's, as you can see over here when I'm on, 92, 92.5, 92.8, 92.6 in the beginning. Okay, should be 90, so I will lower the exposure a little bit. Let's say minus 0.3. Yeah, minus 0.3, that's okay. It could be minus 0.32 or something. I don't care about now. Okay. Next, what else do I have to do? The blacks, which is the E6. Okay, what we will do, we will have to lower the blacks a little bit more. Let's go down to something about 83. Oh, that's too much. Let's say 80, 79. Oh, a little bit too. Okay. 80. Yeah, that's perfect, right? 4.1, 4.0, 4.2. Perfect. Okay. Good. So that's what we do. You can see I have all the HSL sliders visible. You see, usually you have only these ones. Of course, saturation, luminance, or just all, which is on my screen now. Of course, I want to show you the effect, and so I use all. So what else do we do? I will go into settings, sorry, photo, edit in, SpyderCHECKR editing. And I use all the copy with the Lightroom adjustment, so it's TIFF, Adobe RGB, 16-bit, and say edit. So I didn't arrange to have the version flipped to English. Okay, it is German now. I hope that's okay to you. So what else I do? I have the portrait mode at the moment. We will have saturation, colorimetric. And let's say we go on a saturation setting, and you can see the little test patches you can see here. They're automatically positioned, so you don't have to do. I say now I want to say for Lightroom saturation, and I just say save calibration. That means save setting. We say August arc thick, and that's saturation. And I just say save. And now it's asked me if I want to quit, if I want to create an additional calibration, I just say additional calibration, and I go, let's say, on portrait. Select portrait, save calibration, again for Lightroom. So that's August fix, and we had portrait. Oops. Let's say OK. Now I'll quit. And if I go into user presets, they're not there. As I mentioned before, what do I have to do? I will just exit, and I will restart Lightroom. It's the current Lightroom version I do have over here. And again, I will use this image. I will just go back to the original. So I go to settings, reset the settings, and here we have the image. What I'd like to show you now, you can see we have HSL values all to be 0. We have now the new user presets, as you can see. And let's go on saturation. Please have a look at the SpyderCHECKR 24 and have a look on the sliders. And if I go on saturation, you can see the effect inside the image and, of course, also here. What is important to know, and that's why I said when you save the SpyderCUBE settings, make sure you use only this settings, only the sliders, save only the sliders which the SpyderCUBE has an effect on, because on the other way around, you have no effect apart from the HSL settings on exposure, temperature, and so on. That means you can do the correct color temperature, arrange now the setting on the contrast range by using, for example, the SpyderCUBE settings, what you have. So by this, you can combine it. That means if I have one shot with the SpyderCHECKR 24 a day, or maybe in the evening a second one, depending on the light situation, and then I go around, do my shootings, what I'll do from time to time, use the SpyderCUBE, and that gives you perfect adjusted colors and a perfect white balance, including the contrast range, because you can combine them. That's the advantage. And that's the reason why it's not just an ICC profile one, while an ICC profile should cover everything. That's the point in here. So you have the advantage of both. So let's have a look. We have applied saturation. Have a look on the saturation on orange, yellow, how this will change when I click on portrait. Please also have a look at the skin tones. And you can see it has been reduced. So less saturation, colors still look good, but this is more for portrait. So it prevents and helps you that people will not look like they're drunk. Just an idea. Okay, so again, that's saturation, that's portrait, and what is the advantage? I can go up again, and the white balance has been not affected due to the reason I changed my user presets. And of course, if I would have now a few more images, I could go in and apply these settings by copy-paste. Again, when you do it, apply only the HSL. If you have, let's say, applied a SpyderCHECKR setting, a SpyderCHECKR 24 setting, and a SpyderCUBE setting, then of course you can do copy-paste on all images that have an identical color light situation. You can do apply in one step. No problem. That's very, very easy in the end. Okay, that brings us back now to this little presentation. And so you can apply without any problems, very easy. Okay, what else? You remember I said, okay, turn around and use the custom white balance. Why use the custom white balance? If you shoot in RAW, and if you preview the image, it will help because you have an improved preview. And also, if you have the color temperature already in a correct way, you don't have to adjust afterwards. It's just a question of your workflow. Because if you have a look on the contrast, on the color temperature range, let's say I have a shade, it's 8,000 Kelvin. If it's cloudy, 6,000. Direct sunlight, like we had in Hamburg all day, something about 5,200. Yeah, that's the point. And next situation, if you do videography, all films that are taken with cameras are shoot in a compressed mode, like on a still, like in JPEG. So you don't have the raw, you don't have the reserve of the raw, and therefore it's good to know. So press the white button, adjust, and do the control shot. It's easy to do. It's just a question of your workflow. And if you do film, I would like to show you another possibility. Therefore, I'll have to launch my Lightroom again. But it's okay. You see, if you have the setting, created with the SpyderCHECKR 24, and if you go to, go to my library, and I go to a video folder where I do have a lot of videos, not too much here. It was in the winter time at the River Elbe. It was high tide, and the ice cubes are we're swimming upwards, not downwards, to the sea. So if you have here your setting, a user preset created with the SpyderCHECKR in Lightroom, for example, as well, for example, in DaVinci Resolve, you can apply such settings. You go to the Save preset, and then you have the user preset. And here you can see the new presets I have just created. And you can just apply them to the video, and it will take an effect on the entire video. And it helps you to have the colors to be one. And if you cut and trim and whatever you do with your videos, they look as one. That's the advantage here. Okay, so that's important to know. Good. But in the end, please let me mention, keep in mind we have different monitors. We judge our images after the monitors. And unfortunately, we have different monitor technologies. It's like a little bit in the room light situation. In the past, we had all bulb lights. Nowadays, in the EU, we are forced to use energy-saving lights. More and more go over to use LED lights. And everybody know when it starts with the energy-saving light, it was, oh, what type of color is it? Everything looks horrible. A little bit similar situation on monitors. In the past, we have CRTs, then we had the LCD displays and those who have CCFLs inside. That's like a neon tube, which is in a U in the frame all around here. Nowadays, we use LED lights, very often white LEDs, so you have very small frames. But the disadvantage is you have a different spectrum of light. And if you have these types of monitor next to each other, they will always look different. Spyder 408 can help you there. Because if you go into a room where you have different light sources on, you will always have an area where you can see a color cast. It has nothing to do with your camera. It's just your eyes. But the only way to avoid any color shift, any color cast on the monitor is to calibrate. So calibrate your images. That's most important. Calibrate your monitors. And you can calibrate all type of monitors. The monitor calibration is the solution here. And that was my last word on this. If you want to learn more, if you want to get more to know about color management, we have a Spyder ebook, so-called All About Color Management. It's on color management from a photographer's perspective. It explains color management in very simple words, helps you a lot, shows also how to handle with our equipment, and it is written by a photographer in combination with an editor from a large magazine, from the Dogma, which is a very, you see, the Dogma main author is Doc Baumann. He is a Photoshop guru from the very beginning. He's a German, and they did a perfect job on this. One of my colleagues, he is a photographer, and these guys from the Dogma. And you just go to our website. There's a form you can just put in the information, submit the form, and you will receive an email, allow up to 30 minutes. And there's a link where you can download the PDF, and it's free of charge. I can hardly recommend to do. Okay, additional information you'll find on the Spyder blog. You'll find at Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube. So most common. And what else? Additional information you can find at our free phone support, 00800 700 870. Important 00800. Don't forget the 00 because it's Europe free call number. Okay, and as it maybe is important to submit information like images and or to receive information which is written in a PDF or whatever, and even if the information is a little bit more complex, think about a phone call of about 5 minutes, and sometimes you remember, what did he say in the beginning of this call? To avoid this, to read the information can be much more helpful. You can do it step by step, and therefore please use our online ticket support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at http:// support.datacolor.com, and you will see the menu here, contact customer support. You will have a support form that also helps you and us to make it faster, because questions like your operating system, which very often has an impact on solving issues, will be asked, so you don't forget it. So that helps us, and it helps you to receive a solution if you have a question. Okay, so more webinars to come, even during the summer break. So please have a look at our website. And that's it now from my side. I will take you now into the